enthusiastic for Mondale,
Yeah.
but I thought he would be an honest alternative. And then '88 was the guy from Massachusetts,
Dukakis.
Dukakis versus Bush, and his highlight was probably the national convention. He gave, Dukakis gave a pretty good speech, and fairly enthusiastic crowd. Crowd was enthusiastic, but Dukakis, I don't know. He's sort of an early prototype of Kerry, I guess. Huh?
Yeah, and he made this remark about his wife. What was it?
Oh, they asked him, he was, I agree with him on this. Dukakis was against capital punishment. And somebody, one of these, it wasn't a debate, but it was some kind of a forum where people could ask him questions. Maybe it was a debate. And they said, well, what happens if somebody raped your wife and killed her or something like that? And he gave a very vapid response. He was strictly on an intellectual thing, not that he would be emotionally upset. So I mean, he sort of
And then the papers,
slit his own throat. Huh?
they crucified him on that.
They crucified him on. But anyhow, he was crucifiable.
92, Bush versus Clinton.
Bush versus Clinton. That was I was not enthusiastic for Clinton, but by the time we got to the convention, I thought that Clinton was probably the best choice. I did not. Brown put me off. I guess I was getting old, and
Well, you went to that convention.
I was a delegate to that convention. I was a member of the Democratic National Committee, so I was what was called a superdelegate. I didn't have to be elected. I got there because of my position, and voted to nominate Clinton, and sort of shook my head at some of his problems getting up to the election, but reasonably happy when he was elected.
I was very happy.
Well, I guess I was too.
96, Clinton versus Dole.
Clinton versus Dole. That was we think of that as being a Democratic success, but Clinton got crucified for inviting people to the White House and sleeping in the Lincoln Room, and all you heard on the TV was stories about alleging influence peddling. You come in, and if you make a big enough donation, you can sleep in the Lincoln's bedroom. And what would have been a very strong re-election with Democratic gains in the House and Senate, he beat Dole handily, but I think he got less than half the total vote. And the Democrats did not fare well in the Senate or House. Huh?
Was that the year of Perot? When was
I think that was
Perot?
92.
Perot was 92. I think he was also 96. Didn't he run again in 96?
I think the reason Clinton won the first time was
Because of Perot.
Because of Perot.
Well, at the time of the convention, Perot had pulled out, and that's when Clinton surged against the first Bush. And then Perot got back in. And I think that Perot took more votes away from Clinton than he did Bush. But who knows? Well, I guess people know, but I don't.
2000, Bush versus Al Gore.
Bush versus Gore.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that was I was not wildly enthusiastic for Gore, but I was strong for Gore, and disappointed that I thought that he'd run a relatively dumb campaign. He didn't do well. He acted arrogant and bored in the first debate. And he just he threw the election away. Is what he did. You know how could he lose that election? He finishes strong. You keep telling me. And as your mother will confirm, it seems to me that Bush has set out to destroy. It depends, you know, we reorganize all the time.
How many years did you actually work at Hanford?
And I worked at Hanford for, I think it was 41 years. I came here in 1951, and when did I retire? I retired in 91 or 92?
91.
40 years. 50? No, 41 years. I got here in 50 till 91, 41 years.
How many?
41.
You got here at 50, yeah. You were married at 51.
What'd you like most about your job?
What did I like most about the job? I like most about the job of having an influence on how we conducted the operations.
What'd you most dislike about your job, if any, if you had
any? I guess this was not a huge issue ever, but what I think I disliked the most about it was the politics.
Did you ever have to fire anyone?
Oh yeah, but not very many. But it's interesting. It's interesting. It turns out if somebody is succeeding in a job, and you say, hey, how would you like to try to transfer out of here and take this other job and see how you do there? And if a person is succeeding, it's just no trouble at all getting them to change jobs. But if a person is failing in a job, you know, don't worry about why. But maybe if a person's failing in a job, the fault is generally the person who put them in the job, not the individual themselves. But it is hell getting them out of that job. But finally I learned that the best thing you can do for anybody who is really not able to hack it at what they're doing is to get them out. Because they're going to be miserable as long as they're there, and they don't want to leave as a failure. Well, they'll never do anything but fail. So it wasn't cold-hearted, but it just became very, very easy to take people out of their jobs.
And he hates that part of his job. Hates it.
Oh.
Well,
What would you describe as your hobbies?
my hobbies?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I guess I would say that politics is a hobby, and I enjoy photography, although I don't spend a lot of energy on it.
Especially when the kids were little.
Yeah. I had a dark room for off and on. And what else is my hobby? Is
Okay.
reading a hobby?
Andy, reading's a hobby.
Huh?
Andy thinks of you as like a fix-it man, sort of a.
Oh,
And he said what?
Andy always thinks if anything's broken, he can call his father, and his father will know how to fix it.
cobble it together for him. But I don't consider that exactly a hobby.
Handyman?
Huh?
You don't enjoy doing it.
Handyman. You're a handyman.
Handyman. I don't. No, that's not a hobby.
He doesn't, you know, he'll do it. For
I
He's
sort
not
of
one
enjoy
who-
yard work, although you would never notice it because I don't do it anymore.
We don't use window work.
But
You never did have a hobby as a yard work.
well, I did too. I chop down trees and dig out the roots. What do you mean? I
I
put
know,
in,
but you cannot say
Huh?
yard work. I know, no,
What
don't
you
put down yard work.
Do you belong to any clubs or organizations?
Oh, sure. What do I belong to? I belong to the B Reactor Museum Association now. I belong to the National Alliance for the Mentally Ill, which is an advocacy group, primarily advocacy group.
Tries to be
And,
Democrat.
well, Democrats, I belong to a Democratic club. I technical societies when I was working.
You have a men's lunch club.
Well, it's not a club. It's just four old geezers that meet once a week,
You
once a
want
month.
the nuclear society and the chemical.
Well, I said technical societies.
Oh,
What else have I been in? Oh, I was in the Y.
there's someone.
I was chairman of the board of the Richland YMCA
For years.
for, no, well, for a few years. And what else? Is that all?
NAACP.
NAACP.
Oh, yeah, I was member of the NAACP. I did that after the civil rights era was over, and you weren't in it.
Well, I belonged.
Huh? Well, you never did anything.
What are some of your favorite TV shows? If any.
Well, no, I like Book Notes, although that's off the air now. Book Notes is a C-SPAN 2 program where they spend, it's an hour, I guess.
Talking to authors, yeah.
The guy, Brian Lamb, who was the father of C-SPAN, which is set up to broadcast the sessions of the House and Senate.
He loves C-SPAN.
I love C-SPAN. But Book Notes is probably the sort of the highlight. I like Nova, which is, science oriented.
Where do you usually watch, what like station or broadcast, where do you like to get your news from?
My news?
Yeah.
I get my news from the public television and Snatch's public radio, and then a couple of newspapers. And
You read the New York Times.
well, I pick it up from time to time.
Every Sundays. Wall Street Journal.
Who are
Wall
some of
Street
your
Journal, that's right. Wall Street Journal, actually, if you can avoid the editorial page, is a very good newspaper. They really have a independent and very, very mature news side. So you can get a lot out of reading the Wall Street Journal. And if you stay away from the editorial page, you don't get ulcers. Oh.
Write that down. You stay away from the editorial page, you don't get ulcers.
Those are pretty good-looking shoes you have on, Sam, aren't they?
He
Oh,
bought
thanks,
those.
I just bought them.
Oh.
Do you have any, who are your favorite famous people, like movie stars, singers, reporters, artists, in today's world?
In today's world?
Yeah.
Oh,
Actually,
today's
it doesn't have to be in today's
Yeah.
Well, Walter Cronkite, years and years and years, he was the anchor for CBS. And I'd come home tired at work at night, and I'd listen to Walter Cronkite, and he was so mature and so,
He had a great voice.
and so I would sleep during the latter part, the last half of his broadcast. I really like Walter Cronkite. And who else? I don't know. We used to watch a lot of situation comedies. I liked All in the Family. You never had exposure to that.
Yeah, on the family.
It was
See,
about a
that,
redneck.
Carol O'Connor, isn't it?
Carol O'Connor.
Carol O'Connor.
And see, we used to watch them. We don't anymore. And we watched that when we first got TV. What was the one? Jackie Gleason.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And
Did
we
you ever
even
watch
watched Jack Benny and all those.
Oh, yeah.
We were big TV watchers then.
Back in those days.
Huh?
Did you watch Seinfeld?
Yeah, yeah. Finally, about the time they went off the air.
We got people. We like.
All right, Seinfeld.
And then we liked. I liked. Well, you did too, didn't you? The North Cascade.
Oh yeah.
Oh yes.
You
What's
watched
that
that
one
all
called?
That we didn't
Northern
want to miss
Exposure.
that.
We didn't ever, huh?
Northern Exposure.
Yeah,
Northern Exposure. That was one of our stronger favorites.
Do you
as
watch
well.
The West Wing now?
No, never seen a single.
I've seen it.
Single
He's not a
program.
fan of it. Andy, is Andy still a fan?
Mm-hmm. My sister's addicted to it.
How would you say people describe you?
Well, I don't know.
You don't know how people describe
No,
you?
I don't know how people
How
describe.
do you describe yourself?
that
When Sam was
Th-
filling
that's
out all
not
these
Sam's.
applications, he had to like choose words to describe himself. Kind of an interesting.
well, how about old?
Old. Old.
Compassionate,
Uh,
huh?
I'd just leave it at old.
Last question, Norm. What are 2 important changes you've seen in society?
2 important changes.
Mm-hmm.
I think the second emancipation of black people, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably and I'd say a second one was the women's movement. I think that hasn't played out yet.
Especially when we had Hillary running against Condoleezza.
You know.
All these programs.
They're talking about Bob Dole's wife, too.
Yeah, I know that.
Even-
I heard that. The other thing that I never did at the time I never was that interested in it, but it was during my lifetime that the union movement really became a very significant aspect. So on the union movement, to a large extent, you can say in my lifetime, it grew up and decayed. And
It's not active anymore.
well, it's a combination of a lot of things, but the government is not pro-union like it was during Roosevelt's time, and the traditional union jobs were outsourcing them.
Good job, Sam.
Thank you, Norm, for putting up with me.
I don't know if you got anything.
Brady.
No girls?
No girls.
You have so many male friends.
Sam, we're in a movie of you eating.
Sam eating.
This is Sam eating.
Sam
His birthday.
eating for his birthday. He finally got served as the last one. There. I don't think that's going to work. Okay. Finally. Everyone's eating. Sam is so cute. Look at that. Look at how cute you are. Look how cute everybody is. Say happy birthday to Sam. I like how everybody clicks on their cell phone.
Would you do this?
See how happy